Some people do not return to dysfunction because it is healthy. They return because it feels familiar. That is the uncomfortable truth. The nervous system does not always choose peace. It often chooses what it recognizes. And sometimes what it recognizes is pain. It recognizes chaos. It recognizes silence. It recognizes emotional distance. It recognizes rejection. It recognizes criticism. It recognizes inconsistency. It recognizes the old room. And because the body recognizes it, the person may call it home. But familiar is not the same as safe. Familiar is not the same as love. Familiar is not the same as freedom. A person can walk back into the same pain and say, "At least I know this. At least I know how to survive here. At least I know this role." But knowing how to survive a prison does not make it freedom. This is why dysfunction can feel strangely comfortable. Not because it is good, not because it is destiny, because the body has survived that emotional temperature before. If you grew around inconsistency, consistency may feel suspicious. If you grew around chaos, calm may feel boring. If you grew around emotional distance, intimacy may feel invasive. If you grew around criticism, kindness may feel unnatural. If you grew around rejection, secure love may feel unfamiliar. That does not mean peace is wrong. It means your nervous system may not recognize peace yet. The old room is seductive because it does not ask you to become someone new. It lets you keep the same role: the chaser, the avoider, the fixer, the controller, the pleaser, the silent one, the one who waits, the one who survives crumbs and calls it connection. That is the trap. The old pattern whispers, "Go back. You know this pain. You know this person. You know this chaos. You know this room." But the Stoic does not obey familiarity. He studies it. He asks, is this peace, or is this repetition? Is this love, or is this the old wound looking for a familiar stage? Is this safety, or is this pain I already know how to survive? Because not everything that feels like home is healthy. Sometimes home is where the pattern was built. Sometimes home is where the wound learned its language. Sometimes home is the place you must finally outgrow. This is also why chaos can feel like chemistry. When your nervous system was trained around instability, intensity can feel like intimacy. The hot and cold, the waiting, the silence, the sudden attention, the withdrawal, the conflict, the reunion high. The body starts calling this love. But sometimes it is not love. It is activation. It is anxiety wearing perfume. It is the old wound waking up and saying, "I know this. I know this uncertainty. I know this chase. I have survived this before." And because the body recognizes it, the person mistakes it for destiny. But intensity is not intimacy. Anxiety is not proof of love. Obsession is not devotion. Uncertainty is not depth. A reunion high is not repair. And chaos is not chemistry just because it makes your heart race. This is where many people get trapped. They mistake nervous system activation for truth. They say, "I cannot stop thinking about them. I feel pulled toward them. Something about them feels familiar." But the deeper question is not, how intense is this? The deeper question is this building peace? Is this building trust? Is this building repair? Is this building command? Because love should not require you to live in nervous system emergency. Love should not make confusion your daily diet. Love should not make anxiety feel like proof. Maybe nothing is missing when calm feels strange. Maybe your nervous system is finally meeting peace and does not know how to receive it. Maybe secure love feels boring because dysfunction trained your body to expect turbulence. Maybe consistency feels suspicious because chaos taught you that love must come with threat. This is where command begins. You stop worshiping what feels familiar. You stop romanticizing what keeps hurting you. You stop calling emotional turbulence chemistry. You stop calling predictable pain home. The old room may feel familiar because you have walked through it for years, but the old room is still the old room. Same silence, same confusion, same hunger, same apology without repair, same promise without change, same pattern wearing a different face. The Stoic does not call the old room home just because he knows where the furniture is. He leaves what keeps repeating his pain. That is not coldness. That is command. That is not bitterness. That is wisdom. That is not giving up on love. That is refusing to keep mistaking dysfunction for destiny. Familiar pain is still pain. Predictable pain is still pain. The pain you know can still be the prison you must leave. And yes, leaving the old room will feel strange at first. Peace may feel empty. Stability may feel unfamiliar. Consistency may feel too quiet. Real love may feel less dramatic. But quiet is not absence. Peace is not boredom. Stability is not weakness. Consistency is not lack of passion. Sometimes peace feels strange because your nervous system has been trained to expect war. So now you must train it again. You must teach the body that calm is not danger, that consistency is not manipulation, that kindness is not weakness, that repair is not attack, that love does not have to arrive wrapped in fear. That is Stoicism 2.0. Not quote culture, not emotional addiction, not spiritual language over the same old pattern. Stoicism 2.0 is pattern diagnosis, nervous system command, moral clarity, real repair. So ask yourself, why does this feel familiar? What part of me recognizes this pain? What role am I being invited to perform again? What old room am I walking back into? What would freedom require me to stop calling home? That is the leak. Not just the relationship, not just the person, not just the chaos. The subconscious pattern underneath the behavior. The old emotional home your nervous system keeps returning to. A leak is any repeated pattern that drains your energy, weakens your judgment, and makes you easier to govern by fear, approval, ambiguity, or stimulation. Take the free nervous system audit. Stop guessing. Name the pattern before your nervous system keeps obeying it. Familiar is not free. Predictable pain is still pain. Break command from the old room. That is Stoicism 2.0.